Okay, so I have some really cool stuff to share with you, and it's all about credit cards and what makes you credit worthy. That's very important because that's the world we live in. In order for someone to give you a loan, like to get a house or a car, they first want to take a look at that fancy little 3-digit number that determines whether you are good with your money or whether you make some mistakes with your money. And either way, I'm going to help you today, whether you're good and you want to get better or you've made mistakes and you want to get good. So first things first, why is it important to have good credit? And I'm going to tell you this because I learned from experience the hard way. There was a stretch of time in my life when I lost everything, and it was back in 2008 when the market, everything fell out of the real estate market, and it impacted a lot of people, namely yours truly. So I went from living the dream to being almost $600,000 in debt. It was bananas. I was living in a hotel, going through a very difficult time with my husband, and I had 3 kids. 2 of them got really sick during this process. So on top of the debt from losing the house and losing the business, my company building, I also started racking up medical bills. All of this stuff pointed toward the fact that during that time, I was not credit worthy. So it made it difficult for me to, let's say, get an apartment. It made it difficult for me to get a car that's running well. And it also made it difficult for me to get another home for my family. So it opened the door for a list of very serious challenges. But what it did was it made me get really smart about the importance of good credit. It wasn't something that I paid a ton of attention to prior to this, but it was something that I became very serious about. Not only just having a good, strong credit worthiness, but I also got serious about getting out of debt. So I'm gonna ping both of those. First things first, if you have debt, you have to get out of debt. And the reason that's so very important is because it frees up your money to not only build your credit, but also to build legacy kind of wealth. If you have debt, it's very difficult for you to build, save, and invest forward. So some of the things that I did to get out of debt is, number 1, you got to find out who you owe what. And I didn't know because, again, once I lost my home and my company, there was a lot of creditors that I owed money because they took on the, let's say, the bills or the utility bills, things that I couldn't pay when we were losing everything. So I had to go to Equifax. That is a credit monitoring service. There's 3 of them: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And all 3 of those, I had to request my credit report. Now, when you are requesting your credit report, you're gonna need a couple things. You're gonna need your legal, first and last name, whatever it is that you put on anything that tracks your utility bills, your apartment payments, your home payments, things like that. You're also gonna need your social security number. That's super key. And then it's gonna ask you for your address, phone number, and then it might ask you to verify some things like where'd you live before, who'd you work for, things like that. So once you have that information, it's so easy. You just go to these 3 different credit monitoring agencies' websites, and typically you can request it right online and download it. Now, once you get it, don't freak out. That's important. I got those credit reports and I was just like, holy moly, how am I gonna do all of this? I definitely cried a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. But once I knew the volume of the debt that I had to attack, I was able to build a strategy to start attacking it. Now, what I did to build a strategy, most people have their systems, but I'm really practical, I'm very visual. So I started with an envelope system. And basically what that is I just took envelopes, just regular envelopes, wrote the name of my debtor on the front and the amount that I owed. And because I was kind of shifting away from credit, I had cash. And I would put cash in these envelopes so that I could just keep, whenever I got extra cash, whenever I did extra jobs, whenever I had leftover from a payment, whenever I got a rebate or a discount, I took that extra money and put it in my debt envelopes. And when I was doing this system, again, because I'm very, very visual, I had a debt wall. So I just, with simple thumbtacks, put these envelopes on the wall, and then I would just keep cashing them in, cashing them in. Now, one of the challenges with doing this is if an emergency comes up, you realize I got cash on the wall in envelopes. Don't use it. As soon as you start building some money in these envelopes, right away, try to pay. Remember that, right away, try to pay. Right away, try to pay on your debt. Okay, so for me to do that, I had to either get money orders. I did have a checking account, but my goal was to use my excess to start knocking off my debt. Another thing that I did to knock off debt was I stopped frivolously spending my money. So things like ice cream and fun times, and I had to learn how to have fun other ways, economical ways. So if you're serious about getting out of debt and building your credit, you're gonna have to evaluate, where are you putting your money? How are you making your money work for you? And for me to get out of debt was me teaching my money how to work for me. So again, I had that envelope system, and then I could always see my progress. So as I'm knocking off my debt, an envelope would come off the wall. Now again, this is just me, but it was my way of visually seeing progress. It was my way of visually seeing, okay, I can attack this one like this, I can put money in this one, and then move things around. And one easy thing that I did just to kind of get me going is I knocked off the little ones first. So if you have a large debt, don't go attacking the $100,000 debt like I initially thought I could. That's a big elephant. You want to start with something small. What are the little bitty ones that you can just, okay, knock that one off, knock that one off, knock that one off. That way you can see immediate progress. So start with the little guys, work your way up to the big guys, and then just to keep attacking it by any means necessary. One of the easiest places for me to save money was on my groceries. Normally, when people are in debt and under pressure, one of the first things you want to do is what? Eat, emotionally eat. So I stopped spending a ton of money on groceries and started looking for ways that I could save on my groceries. And being able to do that, I was able to get lots of good deals, taking advantage of lots of programs, food programs, where I wasn't spending a ton of money on food. Another thing that I did was I worked with a good friend of mine that you've seen on our programs before. Her name is Miss Diana Davis, and she has an organization called Pantry Overflow. Basically what she does is she does the extreme couponing, taking advantage of all these apps. And when she does her grocery shopping, by the time she's done, they actually owe her money. It's the craziest thing. Well, I became one of her clients, and she not only helped me with saving money on my groceries, she taught me how to do what she is so brilliant at doing. And you can find some of her lessons on passtoclass.com. That's our online learning platform, all under the Take Control program. So make sure you check those out. But groceries was where I was first able to save. And then again, I mentioned before, getting creative with how you have fun and spend your money. And during this time, thrifting became a thing. So instead of going to department stores, spending a ton of money, I waited for sales, or I took advantage of thrift stores and found so many quality clothing, items, shoes, stuff for myself and my kids. Again, it helped me cut back on my spending in certain areas and helped me to put more money towards debt. So again, if you have debt and you're looking to build credit worthiness, because credit matters, it matters so much, you want to make sure that you are attacking the debt you have first and then start building out your credit. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. But just a little bit. I don't want to leave the fact that I only did the debt wall because that's what worked for me. My envelope system and my debt wall worked for me, but you can just have a simple list. Some people just make a list and they check things off. Me personally, I just need to see it. I need to see movement in it. So you can, some people do this on their phone. Those strategies didn't work for me, but you find the strategy that works best for you so that you can not only see everything that you owe, then you can see how you can start a system to start putting money into what you owe, and then you can track your successes. That's so important. And then once I got my debt wall down and I had zero debt, I had to have a victory. There had to be something where I could celebrate my win. So I had set up 3 things that I wanted to do as I got a third of the way, 2/3 of the way, and then when I hit it out of the park. Now remember, I had $600,000 worth of debt. So I really wanted to party and celebrate the victory of coming out of debt. So make sure that as you're going on this journey to be free, And to be credit worthy, you celebrate your milestones. So as you're building out your debt tracking system, make sure you build in something that celebrates your wins. And again, I tried to stay away from going to get frozen yogurt, although that was definitely one, but taking a trip with my children was another thing. And then I would do things that like buy myself something. And that was really, really hard because, you know, I felt like, oh my gosh, I made the mistake. I'm the one that got myself into this mess. But in order for me to really press forward, I had to start doing stuff that didn't make me feel worse. I had to start doing stuff that made me feel better and made me see, know, and understand that, okay, I made a mistake, but I'm making it right and I'm going forward and I won't make these mistakes again. So if you're one of those kind of people that have a tendency to beat yourself up, I'm telling you, in this process, if you don't allow yourself to grow and mature from that, it's going to be very difficult for you to build up a positive credit worthiness in yourself. So I had to establish celebratory points, and I'm asking you to really consider doing the same thing as you grow in this process. And lastly, this is key. You want to make sure that you put yourself in some sort of a system that helps you to stay accountable. And I almost said makes you stay accountable, but the only thing that can make you stay accountable, the only person that can make you stay accountable is you. But you can position yourself in a system that will help you with that accountability. And I found that through my local church. And basically, if you are establishing a new budget, if you're getting out of debt, if you're looking to increase in your income, you can become a part of this program and then meet with someone once a week who is a little further along the path of debt freedom and credit worthiness building than I was. And I met with them once a week. We went over my budget. If there was an area where I overspent or I erred, they were so amazing at helping me strategize with getting back on track and encouraging me that this is a long game, not a short game. And so having someone that I could meet with weekly that would kick around ideas with how I can save and get more debt knocked off, it was very, very helpful and it kept me accountable. So that's another thing I'm recommending for you. Don't set up a system of accountability with someone who has difficulty with telling you no, stop, and don't. I'm telling you that won't work. You want someone that's going to be honest with you and shares your goal of debt freedom for the long run and will stick with you and do it. Okay, so now that we've knocked off that debt piece, we can get into the credit-worthy building piece that's gonna make you a rock star with that 3-digit number.